Now, how do governments unlock the power of data in the service of planet and people? Joining our conversation now is the President of the Republic of Botswana, His Excellency Mokgweetsi Masisi. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for being with us this morning.
You.
It's a real tribute to your joint leadership that we're all here today, recognizing the urgency and importance of better solutions. My first question, Mr. President, how is Botswana transforming government services with new data, technologies, and public-private partnerships?
Well, quite coincidentally, and thanks a lot for having me on the panel with these distinguished ladies. Quite coincidentally, we went to the elections in 2019 on a promise to a population that we would transform the economy from a resource-based economy to a knowledge-based one. And anybody who knows anything about Botswana, you know, we're 56 years old. At independence, we were one of the 25 poorest of poor countries in the world. And we discovered diamonds in 1967, 1 year after independence. That's a resource that required skills, capital, technology to unlock. And so we got into a joint partnership with De Beers to do so. That has been the mainstay of our economic drive, which has been largely positive since then. And now, 55 years later, it was time to think differently. And very fortunately, it's a digital age. So we committed to ensuring that we use digital technology that's been developed elsewhere. We capacitate our young population to be able to manipulate this digital technology. We ensure that we have the capacity to mine data, to use it for research. And so, in so doing, we wanted to broaden it to the rest of the economy. And we developed what we call smart bots, a digital transformation strategy throughout government. And in so doing, we could actually result in a one government portal being developed. So a citizen could log in and get government services. We're right now at about plus or so 50 services that would be online and available to every citizen. We're on a drive to connect as many villages as we can. Our target is 500 by the end of this financial year. Out of about 700 villages in Botswana will be connected. We want to be connecting every school, every clinic, and every kota. Kota is a village assembly point, which is a cradle of our democracy in Botswana. So we engage citizens. Through our parliament, we have a program called Parliament Speaks, where citizens can log in and engage their parliamentarians digitally. So we've also lowered the cost of internet for business, for education, and for health purposes. And we have recently begun to roll out tablets to all our students. And so we want to make sure that we make access a major focus of ours so that every citizen is not left behind in this transition. We have to do this because the world has moved so fast. We need to outpace progress if we are to remain relevant. And if we're to compete for jobs, if we're to compete through innovation, if we're to compete in the product space, we need digital technology. And clearly, the use of satellite technology comes into play here. So we as a government are on a massive drive to digitize the whole country as fast as possible. It is one of the 5 priorities that we set in. COVID just accelerated it.
Sure.
Where we needed to get into biomedical space, biotechnical space. We're developing vaccines. And so the smart bot strategy is also involved in that.
Yeah, so there were challenges, but also opportunities with the COVID pandemic. DSG, your thoughts on what the President has just said there?
I think this is just a great example of leadership where you put it as a priority. It's not always the most attractive investment, but being able to show the impact investing in data has on the population, on the communication of what government is actually doing for its people. So you're able to tell the health story. You're able to say, I've connected kids to school, and that we have found the silver lining in that dark cloud of COVID, where they were not connected because of COVID. You've now leapfrogged and you're able to do that. I think what governments need now is more support to scale it up and to do it at a pace that meets with the 2030 agenda. I think Mr. President has just talked about how we are all connected in the world, but we need to be connected with purpose. connected to improve our economies, the lives of people. And I think this is what it's showing, is that across borders, there's so much more potential, but we've got to have, at the country level, the capacities to do so.
Yeah. Mr. President, I wanted to ask you, how far has Botswana, your country, come in transforming services with data? For example, health, education, transport, or even agriculture. How has data helped you transform those?
I must thank the UN for this because they began by putting in some money, about $4 million in helping us get to some innovative stuff in a very arid part of Botswana where we have a small stock farm, and we're digitizing that farm so that the management system is digitized. The water management and reticulation is digitized. The record keeping is digitized. And so we're doing this for current use. We're doing this also to make up for what we used to have done by paper and hand, or pen and hand. So we would have a lot of data.
Right.
We're going to need our researchers to mine this data. In the health space, we're doing the same. As I said, in the biotechnical space, we're also doing this in the health management system. We're also doing this when we get COVID. We developed a unique app to apply for COVID permits. We had what we call permits to move because we had restriction of movement of persons, and even notification. And so through the cellular companies, this has been a real transformation for us.
Okay. Ms. Pangestu, your take, the World Bank's take on the real investment needs and the potential for societies and economies with data.
Let me just compliment the president of Botswana that I think he's exhibiting what we have seen as the best practices when we say data for better lives in our WDR report last year. First is the commitment at the very top to use data in a very productive way, not just to deliver government services, but to develop its economy. And putting that, as you said, one government portal, because that was one of the important recommendations. The data is not in the Central Bureau of Statistics. It's with the government in a centralized way. Second, it needs to be shared. Yeah, that was the very important point you made, that the data is not just for delivery of government services, but it is intended to have value added, to have mine it, as you said, mine the data for economic purposes, for commercial value that will help the economy grow into the digital economy that is the way of the future. And then I think lastly, really all partners coming together with the private sector. You said De Beers helped you, and I'm sure you worked with a lot of technology partners as well. And this is, I think, the way we see the partnership between the UN and the World Bank is really to help countries do the best practices, like we heard Botswana. And the underfunding, it was really good. You mentioned the UN provided with some initial funding to kick it off. And this is the kind of partnership that we need to have have countries be able to start investing in data and really deliver impact on poverty and development, but also for developing the digital economy that is a potential future development pathway.
So partnerships are crucial.
Partnerships are crucial.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Your Excellency, for joining us once again this morning. Thank you, Deputy Secretary General, and Ms. Mary Pangestu from the World Bank. Thank you all.